Hey there, super friends. This is Joey with Last Point Gaming. Today is Monday, January 29th, 2018. If you want to connect with us on social media, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, our Last Point Gaming channel. You can friend up our Last Point Gaming Facebook account. You can follow us on Twitter at Last Point Gaming. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Stranger Sparrow. Or you can always reach out directly with an email to lastpointgaming@gmail.com. This one's going up a bit early today because I'm taking a half day because I am sick. So fair warning, there may be parts of this audio where it sounds like a lung is trying to escape viciously through my throat. Sorry ahead of time about that. But I don't edit these. I just record them, and then when I get home, I just push it. I don't even pre-listen to them. Oh man, why is my work phone blowing up? I don't care. So my plan this week, hopefully I go to work every day this week. I'm hoping if I go home, take a nap, lay down in bed with the dog and watch Law and Order. Also get some of the awesome cold meds that Mucinex. There's a pack of the Mucinex day and nighttime medication where it's 9 days worth of medication or 5 days or some amount of days, but it comes all in one blister pack. That shit is great. Highly recommend. So I think I'm gonna send husband out to pick those up later. I thought about stopping and grabbing it on my way home, but I'm so fucking tired, man. Tying my shoes this morning was an ordeal. So, anyway, hopefully I make it to work every day this week and so get to record every day. But my loose plan this week is today I'm gonna, do the weekend gaming report, which is really just the FNM report this week. That's all I did this weekend. I want to talk about the Philly Team Open. I actually watched a lot of that coverage. Boo was super excited. I let her stay up a little bit late last night to watch the finals with me because we were really rooting for Brendan, Caleb, and Tannen. Get Tannen's first Open win. So she thought that was awesome. And then, some general community stuff. And I really have to pick a legacy deck now because League starts today, which fortunately over the weekend I got to watch a fair amount of legacy play. Lands is looking pretty neat. I still don't really understand what the fuck that deck does, except for make a big 2020 somehow at some point. I don't even know how you get the 2020 off of, how do you remove Crowners from Dark Depths? Really should probably read that fucking card. I don't know. But saw some neat stuff, Grixis Delver actually looks pretty neat, even though it's more of a control style deck. I may end up just going Elves, I don't know. I may switch the human build I'm running to the build Ross Miriam used to take down the Modern Classic. As opposed to the version of humans I have built in paper. Usually I try to stick to the same paper and digital deck because getting playtesting in with a deck that is not the same as the one you're running in paper is not terribly useful. But I want to see how this deck performs. Also, this is a pretty casual league, so it's not one of those things that the deck I start with has to be the deck I finish with. If I run it the first week and go, I get what he's trying to do here, but I'm not digging it, then I can just switch back to the other version. For my standard deck for that league, I don't know, man. I'm kind of thinking the red-white aggro. I want to see how that performs. Looks like a super great deck. Looks really fun. I want to see if the Phoenixes are really worth it. Because, again, I really don't think that card's going to hold that price tag for very long. I think it's a good card. I don't think it's that good. especially because it does not natively have haste. I think 9 times out of 10 you're going to want a Glorybringer instead of the Phoenix. The whole, like, recursion thing, I mean, depending on when it dies, they don't even need back-to-back kill spells. They got a little bit of time. Yeah, like, it would suck for you to swing during your attack step. They find some way to kill the Phoenix during your turn. Then on their turn, they fumigate and kill the token. So not only do you not get your Phoenix back, but they gain a life for the token. Also, again, there's so much graveyard removal to combat decks like Godfarer's Gift and to combat the Scarab God. Not to mention all the incidental Eternalize and Embalm creatures. Plus, Vraska's Contempt being one of the premier removal spells in the format. At least Glorybringer, you get one swing in more often than not. I don't know. I'm just not digging on that card, but maybe I'll roll up the red-white aggro deck on X-Mage and find that I'm deeply wrong, that it's much better than I'm giving it credit for. I guess we're going to find out. I did get to play against a red-white aggro deck Friday night. It was my only win of the night. Though this guy, I actually chatted with him a little bit. So he brews his own beer. And I guess a lot of this requires him being outside. So during the winter months, he plays Magic. Because he can't brew. So during, the other 3 seasons a year when he can be outside brewing, he doesn't play. So he's been playing for a while, but only during the winter months. I mean, our games were real close. Yeah, he definitely made me work for it. But, so Friday night, I went 1-3, Boo went 0-4. Boo's still on Mono White Vampire Monument. She discovered the pain that is being fumigated once you've built a very wide board state. She's like, oh my god, that card's so broken. Like, yeah, that card's good. So she's talking about wanting to switch on to the Black-White Vampires build for the presence of Yeheni to work around Fumigate. Because really, to get rid of Yeheni, they need, like, Vraska's Contempt or one of the other 4-mana exile spells. I guess Thopter Rest is only 3. Oh, Baffling End's only 2. I forgot about that one. So, aside from Baffling End is definitely the cheapest one, but pretty much any other removal spell they're going to use on Yeheni is going to put them off the mana needed to fumigate. Therefore, okay, you might lose out the next turn, but you can at least get a big swing, and that turn you're going to stall them a little bit, hopefully. I don't know. I'm still not sure any of the tribal decks are really strong enough as tribal decks to be competitive, but for FNM, I ended up running Black-Red Pirates, and I will say, I lost a lot, obviously, as I only went 1-3, but that deck was even fun to play when I was losing. It's not so linear. It's got some options. I don't know. It was a fun deck to play. I enjoyed it. I see Mono Red still topping the charts, which good for Mono Red. I don't know. I never really liked playing Ramunap Ruins or Ramunap Red. That deck was only fun when you were winning, and really it was winning that was fun. It wasn't the deck. But when you were losing, the deck was fucking miserable. And that's the thing, like, I have limited tolerance for playing a deck that I don't enjoy playing. This is, one of the reasons why I'm, never gonna be a pro. Because this whole, like, we'll play this deck. That deck looks like it's gonna give me a headache. Yeah, but it wins. Yeah, but I would rather not, spend the whole event wanting to slam my head on the table because I am so bored playing this deck. So yeah, Red Black Pirates was fun, but it's not, I don't think, quite there. Did run up against a Blue Red Pirates deck. Stoner's wife was playing it. And I hate referring to people like that, like associating them to another person instead of having them be their own person. But she plays Constructed so rarely that I think, like, making up some moniker for her at this point, like, every time I mention her, it's going to be something different because she gets mentioned so few and far between because she doesn't actively play that much. So, for now, this is how I'm going to refer to her. She was playing Red Blue Pirates, and we actually played round 4. It was a real close match. She ended up winning it. But her deck looked fun as hell. You got some Curious Obsessions and the Hasty Can't Be Blocked dude, and yeah, okay, some counter spells. But all in all, it looked like just a really fun deck. Let's see here. What else did I lose to? Lost to a mono red deck. That one I think I got too concerned about as Phoenixes. Phoenix. Whatever. Like, I sided in my Lost Legacies so I could Lost Legacy them out. And really, I probably just shouldn't have been that worried about them. It was another one that, like, I think I won game 2, he won game 1. And then game 3 was a close one. Like, I was getting blown out in the beginning because I was flooding pretty hard. And then I managed to almost stabilize because the Pirates build I'm playing is Terran from MTGO Traders build. And like Rammunap Red, it's not really actually a low to the ground aggro deck. It's more of a fast mid-range that tries to straddle that line. And unfortunately, you just don't have the capability to do that without a land you can turn into a resource like Rammunap Ruin said. Like, when you flood out, lands are still gas. And that's, like, the big change to mono red is now you either have to dedicate to big red or red deck wins. You can't straddle that line anymore like you could with Rammunap. Fuck out of my way, dude. Just make your turn. Make your turn. Slowest right-hand turn ever. Oh my god. That's kind of the same deal with this Pirates deck. It's not quite fast enough to really be aggro, but it's not quite resilient enough to really be mid-range. I think that may be the difficulty with it, is that you have to pick one or the other way to go and build around that. But again, it was like fun as hell to play. I had to do some wacky, crazy shit. I will say it's a nice kind of non-bow with the Fanatical Firebrands and Fatal Push. You know, an easy way to not only do some damage, but turn on Revolt. That was one of the things I got to do against the red-white player. That, like, he just kind of didn't see it coming. Like, what did I get to push with? I don't remember. Might have been an on-crop crash or something like that, like, I kept swinging but leaving the one Firebrand back, so he plays an on-crop crasher, and, goes to move to combat, and then before combat, I tap and sack the Firebrand, and I was able to Fatal Push the on-crop crasher. He was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah, that's why I kept leaving the one back. I also feel like because that Pirates deck has red in it, you want to play Chandra? Because, yeah, I mean, Chandra, Torch of Defiance. It's the one in right now. She is a pretty badass planeswalker. She's definitely the best Chandra that's ever been printed. Like, hands down, no question. But for 4 mana, like, who was I watching play this weekend that, like, they played Chandra and they had to -4 her to kill, like, a Bomac Warrior or some trash like that. That was like, ooh, feels bad. But, you know, she comes out, she has the ability to destroy a creature when she arrives. And I mean, that's the big key to Planeswalker, is their ability to protect themselves the turn she comes out. Or, if that's not the way you want to go, to be able to plus to either make 2 mana or essentially deal 2 damage. Because you almost always take the guaranteed damage off the card you exile off the top. It's a rare exception because, you know, red decks, they play a certain strategy and it's mostly, what does your deck do? Damage. What else does it do? Nope, that's it. Just damage. And that's, I think, what my disappointment with Angrath is, that for 5 mana, I think he is. 1, he's 5 mana, and I think he only starts on 4 loyalty. You know, usually the loyalty counters a Planeswalker starts with is their mana cost or more. But, whatever. That I could be okay with, but his minus ability, you know, it's like, well, this will protect him. Not really. Only if it's a small threat, and at 5 mana, like, if he were 4 mana and could do that the turn he came out and, you know, survive it, that would be one thing. But at 5, you know, this is the time where the big threats are coming out. That chances of you protecting him by stealing a creature converted mana cost 3 or less and sacking it is not great. Now, I think if you did a black-red build utilizing something like Yahenni, where no matter what creature you stole, you had a sack outlet to get rid of it, that'd be a little different. But on his own, he was just like, he's so completely underwhelming, which is really sad, because the Planeswalker deck version of him, once that was spoiled, was like, oh my god, this is almost constructed playable. Like, it's really decent for a Planeswalker deck version. So, you know, I was totally jazzed to see what the set version would be like, and then that was spoiled, and I'm like, really? I don't think this is actually better than the Planeswalker deck version. Maybe on par, but I don't think it's better. Also, for 5 mana cost Planeswalker in aggro colors, what the fuck were you thinking, Watsy? But, so yeah, the deck was definitely fun to run, but it's not going to be winning any GPs. That's for damn sure. And I mean, not ragging on Terran at all. If you've been with me for any length of time, you know that I love the Traders guys. Especially Terran. I just don't think that there is a, you know, really solid, very competitive Pirates build to be had, except for maybe the blue-red. But even there, I think it had potential in the first couple weeks when it was kind of a left field thing. And then, you know, Jim Davis had to go and turn everybody's radar onto it. So people are prepared to deal with it. Oh, my mic came off. I think it has potential, though, even still. But Dimir Pirates may be better. Like, it may be better to go with a more control style build. I don't know, though. Still searching for my deck this standard. Boo has decided she wants to play Modern, though. So, that's interesting. She got to watch one of the interviews with, well, they replayed it a few times. Nick Miller did an interview with Rio Wilson hyphen... I have no idea how to say that other last name. The 11-year-old who top-8'd the last Invitational, he had a team down there for the Team Open in Philly. And you know, she was watching them talking, especially, like, he was their legacy player, which, yeah, the salt in the chat over that one. Whoa. As a little kid, afford a legacy deck. Well, because he top 8'd an invitational. You know? I mean, I get it. Magic's an expensive game, and, you know, players are like, I can't afford to play legacy because, you know, my landlord doesn't accept Magic cards as payment. But, anyway. Their modern player was a young girl. I mean, I would put her somewhere in her mid-teens. They didn't talk about her age, but I'd say probably, like, you know, somewhere between 14 and 16. So Sage Boo got really excited to see this girl, and now she wants to play Modern. So we're putting together Modern Naya Burn for her. We need about $40 in cards to get there, because, like, apparently we're missing Boros Charms and Grim Lava Mancers and Searing Blazes. I know when husband said that, I was like, we can't be missing Searing Blazes, because I recall running a deck with 4 of them, and he's like, this is a mana leak, mana drain situation. You're thinking Searing Blood? I know, because I did the same thing. The mana leak, mana drain situation was funny. Epidemic and I were playing Magic back when he would still play Magic with me. And he said, you know what I really need? I need some mana drains. And I'm like, oh, I got like 1 billion of them, so I'll go get you 4 and you can just have them. And he's like, no, you don't. And I'm like, yeah, no, I totally do. I remember pulling that card a bunch and being like, wow, this card's stupid. Mostly because it's a counterspell. And he's like, I'm telling you, you don't have mana drains. Like, you may have 1, and your husband will disown you if you give it to me. And this was because, you know, I was mistaking mana leak for mana drain. Because we got to name cards all similar and shit. So we're about $40 shy, which for a Modern deck, really, it's not too bad. I was really surprised to see, I guess we've moved away from playing Atarka's Command. But I guess I see why, because we're running Inspiring Vantages now, and last time I looked at building Modern Burn was before Inspiring Vantage was printed. So Atarka's Command being a 4 converted mana cost spell, and you're relying on fast lands, 1, puts more of the focus on red-white as opposed to the red-green. And 2, you want to keep that curve lower. You want to stop caring after your 3rd land. Otherwise, them Inspiring Vantages feel real fucking bad. And if you're anything like me, you only see them on turn 4 or later. So she's real jazzed about that. I think her getting into Modern would be good. Just because... at present, she only goes to FNM with me every other week. So she doesn't have a chance to, like, really get good with a deck before rotation hits. Now, there's talk that either we're going to start doing, like, Modern Mondays or look for another shop in the area that does Modern FNM and, like, alternate. So she may be going to game with me every week. But, like, she has set her sights on, she wants to play competitively. So I told her we're gonna work on her table manners a little bit more. She does the thing like where she'll tap 2 lands in her stack to play something, and then go to play another thing, and she'll untap the 2 lands and retap the stack. And she ends up tapping the right amount of mana, but I'm like, you can't be doing shit like that. Like, you can't be untapping lands that you already spent the mana for, even if you're retapping them right away. And, you know, working on her attention span and, you know, her focus in the game. But she wants to play competitively, cool. It's actually kind of nice for me, because that means, you know, when it's like, oh, well, there's an IQ within an hour drive this weekend, and next weekend there's a PPTQ, that her and I can go start running these events, because part of what limits my ability to even go run semi-local events like that is I try not to strand husband with both the kids on his own so I can go play Magic too much, because it's kind of a shitty thing to do, you know. Having the 2 kids to 1 parent ratio is rough. Believe me, I know. He, did his time with the military, and I remember what it was like when he was at tech school, and even then, I was pregnant with Bird, but, it was just me and Boo for, 9 months. It was awful. Not always terrible, but, we both missed him. She started acting out because she missed him. It was a lot of stress. And then when he did his combat deployment, well, I had 2 kids under the age of 5. And it was just the 3 of us. And that was pretty awful. So, I try not to do that to him too much, because I don't feel like it's fair. Oh, thank God I'm home. And, I know nobody likes being sick, but God, I hate being sick. So, hopefully I can kick this pretty fast. Sorry for the low quality cast here today, but hey, at least I didn't retch up a lung for you guys. So, we're going to take that as a win. As always, if you made it this far with me, thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to y'all hopefully tomorrow.